Today we're going to play around with one of my favorite analog compressors, the DBX 160A. I'm going to show you guys what it sounds like on kick and snare.
True Sound Studios is in your ears.
Hey guys, what is up? I'm Weezna, and as always, we're at my studio, True Sound Studios, and today we get to play around with the DBX 160A compressor. So I bought my first DBX compressor about 15 years ago when I was trying to be able to control a vocal while I was recording it. So not only do they sound great, but the affordability is really the reason why I picked up a DBX compressor. So because of that compressor, DBX has led me down this road of buying more and more DBX products. I think as of today, I have 14 different DBX products here at the studio. So today though, we are gonna check out the DBX 160A compressor and why I like it so much on kick drum and snare drum. So this is gonna be a little bit more untraditional where I show you how the DBX works with a kick and snare. I'm not gonna go ahead and like scroll through every different setting that the compressor has. Instead, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to show you 3 different examples from both the kick and the snare. First, I'm gonna show you a totally raw kick and snare drum, no processing at all. And then second, I'm gonna show you a kick and snare, but I've done some EQing and a little shaping and adding a little SSL drive to it, and then we're sending it to the DBX 160A. And then finally, the last one I'm going to show you is going to be a triggered kick and snare, where I have not only replaced the drum sound with a drum sample, I've also processed it with EQ and a shaper and some more of that SSL drive, and then once again send it to the DBX 160A. So the reason I'm doing this is because when I go to buy gear, I want to hear what it sounds like with a raw drum, a little bit more processing, and the full-on trigger. And to this day, I've yet to find a video that would do that and just leave the settings alone, but show me 3 different examples through the compressor. So how I have the DBX 160A compressor routed to my DAW is I'm running a dedicated output from the kick drum off the DAW and a separate dedicated output just for the snare drum. Those outputs run into the inputs of both the DBX 160A compressors, and obviously one will be for kick and one will be for snare. All right, so let's go ahead and check out the DBX 160A compressor. Okay, so there you guys go. So let's just quickly talk about like the 3 different situations where we are using the DBX 160A. So the first situation where you heard just the kick and the snare, totally raw, live drums, single mic'd. So you probably heard on the kick drum how much low end that compressor controls. That kick drum, even though it had dampening in it, really was kind of boomy. Like listening to it with the subwoofer on, you know, when you bypass that, the boominess behind that kick drum really became apparent. But then when the DBX was back on the kick drum, it really helped control the low end on that kick drum. Not only that, it obviously helped deal with some of the dynamics and trying to keep it in a good, you know, a good volume level without having some of those harder kick drum hits cut through the mix even more. And then with the snare drum, you can hear that compressor was really starting to add that snappiness to that snare drum, which is the reason why I love using that compressor. I feel like it just, you know, you throw that snare drum sound through that compressor and it just sounds better. Not only that, it obviously once again controls some of the dynamics, especially on live drums. You know, the dynamics are going to be all over the place. If the drummer hit a little harder, a little lighter, rim shot, more in the center of the drum is going to change the dynamic of that drum. So then second, when I added the processing to the drums, you can hear that really that kick and that snare really started to cut through the mix, but still on the kick drum you heard really the tightening up of the low end, which is one of the main reasons why I use it on kick drum. And then for the snare, once again, just adding that smoothness that it does after you've processed the drum a little bit and helping to round off some of the bite that the snare drum has, and that DBX 160A just really helping overall to give us a better snare drum sound. And then last with the trigger drums, now obviously triggering, you know, in that case I just didn't let any bleed. It was really simply just the triggered snare and just the triggered kick drum. So, you know, no blending of anything else in there, besides when I soloed the drums and you could hear the overheads and the room mics, you know, doing something to that mix. But once again, you know, that kick drum sample still, it was kind of booming even with all the processing that was going on. And then after it hit the DBX 160A compressor, just really helping to control the low end. And then with the snare drum, I just love the fatness that the 160A just really helps give that snare drum sound and just really make both of those drums cut through the mix. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you see why I like these DBX products so much. I mean, not only are they affordable, but they are just really great on drums. I'm actually going to be doing a couple other videos where I use the DBX 160X compressor on vocals and bass, and you guys will hear even further how these compressors really help pull the drums together and kind of give you that polished drum sound. So if you guys like this video, consider subscribing and hit that like button. Follow us on Instagram for daily posts. You can find the beats that I make right here at the studio on our SoundCloud page. True Sound Studios also mixes and masters your tracks. So once again, guys, thanks for watching this video. I'm Weezna, we're at True Sound Studios, and True Sound Studios is in your ears.